Hello and welcome to the trade setup. In this video we are looking at Netflix. It is time for another update, and today we will be discussing the extension that has occurred to the downside, especially in the last couple of weeks. Here we seem to be trending to be continuing in the more bearish interpretation in the shorter time frame. But before we get there, I would like to go quickly through the larger time frame for any of you who might be new. And here we are looking at an overall very bullish, very impulsive structure forming to the upside, where we are tracking a series of 1-2 setups in this area, and then within this overall larger wave tree we have a 1-2 setup, another 1-2 setup possibly here. We might not have necessarily this internal 1-2 setup as well, but in the end I'm telling you it doesn't matter too much. And especially right now, the structure that we are tracking to the upside is not affected at all by the internals of this pattern here. However, we are at the moment considering this as the core wave tree. This is the internal wave tree, from which point we are only tracking for 5 patterns to the upside until we complete the larger structure. And overall, from a large time frame perspective, yes, this will end up being a large wave tree, but we are done with building the internal wave tree. We aren't looking to build another 1-2 setup and then a wave tree from the large time frame perspective. We are only tracking such patterns internally within the structures that we are tracking to the upside. Now, in this wave 5, we are still looking for further continuations higher, where right now we are tracking this as an initial wave 1 up, a wave 2 down, and then we are looking to develop a third wave to the upside. And within this interpretation, we are tracking a more specific count internally, where we have here another 1-2 setup, another 1-2 setup here, and then this would be our third wave up. We are looking here for the fourth wave correction, and then a fifth wave to follow to the upside to complete an even larger wave tree. Now, for this interpretation, we need to hold here relevant areas of support, and the support levels start at the $110.6 all the way down to the $88.9 level. And as long as we hold here the 50% retracement, we can still look with high likelihood for continuation to the upside to new all-time highs in a follow-up wave 5. Now, within this wave 4, we have already extended more than enough, and we have done more than enough to consider it complete, but it seems we are still following the more bearish interpretation here in the shorter time frame, where we have been looking at this interpretation in orange ever since we started covering this chart, ever since we got into this initial movement to the downside. We were prepared for further continuations lower, and we needed a break here above the 78.6% retracement for a signal that this structure is likely done. At the moment, it seems it is not the case, and that we can even dismiss these internal yellow and white interpretations, as we clearly are following here the orange scenario. And more specifically, in the previous video here, in the very short time frame for this wave B correction, we were actually eyeing the 50% retracement here, and we have pushed perfectly into this level before starting our larger downtrend. So we have even followed through to the upside as we were tracking here a continuation higher within this internal structure. We were looking for another high within, at least another high within this area, and we actually got a couple of them if we zoom here in the 15-minute time frame, but it doesn't matter exactly. We are now tracking this as an overall larger ABC structure which has unfolded to the upside, and we are now in no need of this further continuation, further tracking to new highs, because clearly we pushed into the 50% retracement, we formed our wave B top, and now we are tracking the C wave to the downside of the larger wave tree. And within this wave C, I am looking for a 5-wave structure to unfold, and it could already be towards the end of this pattern. We don't necessarily need too many extensions lower, but it is not a necessity. So within this structure, I actually have a couple of ways I can be tracking this count. So I could be looking at this as a 1-2, and then this could be a third wave down, no problem. This could be the fourth wave up and then the fifth wave down, but I have no evidence that this isn't still as part of the wave 3. I have no evidence that this is an extension in an ABC structure of the larger wave 3. And in that case, I need to be prepared for further extensions lower, but I won't even start tracking that idea until we break here out of an internal area of resistance that we will be tracking here. Now, for all purposes right now, we will be looking for this 50 to the downside to have a possible completion, but if we manage to break here above the relevant areas of resistance that could allow further extensions, we will need to consider that this third wave would have extended here and still look for an even larger retracement. Because, for example, in this interpretation that we are now in the 50th to the downside within this count, we are looking at a possible ABC structure to still unfold, and in that case I could be looking for resistance here at the levels between the $105 all the way up to the $108 level at the 78.6% retracement. If I were, however, to consider this an ABC structure, well, I would need to be tracking a different area of resistance, and I could allow it to go as high as the $110 level, and that is the actual level that I need to see broken. The 61.8% retracement of a correction here in a wave 4 is what I needed to see broken for a signal that this wave C to the downside is likely done. But the reason that we are not tracking this momentarily is because we could still be here in an internal extension to the downside, and we won't be seeing the first level of resistance by tracking this larger area of resistance. Yeah, and in that case we need to go back to tracking this possible ABC pattern that could be unfolding within this 50 to the downside. And honestly, for all purposes within this ABC structure, it could be even a 1-2 setup. Yeah, it doesn't need, in the interpretation that this third wave would extend, it doesn't need to form an ABC. Instead, we would expect to form a 5-wave structure, where if this is a 5th wave down, we would be instead looking for an ABC pattern, but it would have the same area of resistance, which is why we are going to focus specifically on these levels. Now, from a large time frame perspective, we can actually determine the ideal target for a supposed wave C unfolding in this area, and it would be the 100% extension of the wave A, and that would be for us the $100 level. Yeah, that is the ideal target. We are looking to form a bottom here within this large wave 3, but then I wouldn't be done necessarily with this correction. I would actually be heavily prepared for further extensions after a larger correction in wave 4. Because keep in mind, within this orange interpretation, we are tracking overall an ABC structure, and within the wave C, we need to see a 5-wave move to the downside. If that doesn't manage to happen, it's not necessarily the biggest problem. We can zoom out to get a more clear view, but from the small time frame perspective, we need to see the evidence that this structure will not extend lower by breaking the supposed follow-up resistance in the wave 4. But for now, we aren't there yet. We have no evidence that this overall wave C has been completed, and we need to continue tracking still lower extensions. And for now, these are the levels. This is the trade setup. I hope you enjoyed the video, and if you did, don't forget to subscribe and let me know what else you want me to cover, and I'll do my best to do that in the days and weeks ahead. And until then, I hope you have a nice day, and I hope to see you in the next video. Bye bye.